Welcome to Jill Cameron Creations. Thank you for joining me today. We are doing something a little bit different than what I normally do for cards. I am a huge Doctor Who fan, and I have been wanting to design and create a TARDIS card for a very long time, and I sat down in some spare time last week and I designed a TARDIS card in Design Studio for Silhouette and cut it out on my Silhouette Cameo. I have an original first generation Cameo and it works just fine. I have no problems with it whatsoever, but of course I did have to get a new one too. But anyway, the SVG file will be available over in my resource library. And right now we're just looking at all the different parts and pieces to this. I wanted it to be bigger on the inside. So what I've created here is the card itself measures in height about 8 1/4. Those are the dotted cut lines that are in the file itself. However, you can ungroup that main image right there and delete the cut files or mark them as no cut if you want to. And I'm just supplementing those dotted lines with a very, very, very light bone folder, and I'm strengthening that crease. That's what I'm trying to say there. And I'm doing very, very light pressure. So, and I'm not using my Teflon bone folder for this, only because it's too wide. I needed something that was very, very, very slim as a bone folder for this, because my dimensions are pretty close. They're not 100% perfect, but they're pretty tight to make sure that one flap folds over the other. And I did this on both sides. I just used my Fiskars reinforced trimmer and used the line, the little divot in the tray itself to be able to fold instead of pulling out my great big huge Martha Stewart embossing, no, what is that thing? I don't know. It's one of those trays that you can do all the score lines on. And then I'm going to fold these over and reinforce that fold line. And I'm using my Teflon bone folder for this because I don't want the cardstock to have a shiny edge to it, and I'm pressing it down really, really, really hard. This video is also in real time, so this is me putting the card together in real time. I'm not speeding it up or slowing it down anywhere. I just want everybody to see how to put this together. And you can decorate this thing however you want to. You could actually just make a telephone box out of it if you wanted to. And I was saying that the overall measurement of it's a little over 8 inches. It'll fit in like one of the great big huge greeting card envelopes very easily. So you don't have to make a special envelope for it or anything. And the left side folds over the right side just a tad bit. And I took everything off of my sticky mat from my Silhouette and forgot which one was which, so which side was which. If you look at if you put the inside panels side by side, stack them up on top of each other, you'll notice that they're offset a little bit. And that's because the inside dimension is a little bit thinner on the panel that goes on the inside. And that's just so that it doesn't give any bulk whatsoever in the crease line there. I'm gonna add some vellum in between my panels. I wanted to have some dimension and some different layers of things there. I did not cut that out. I'm just gonna freehand that with a pair of little scissors. And these are the window frames that go on the outside of my TARDIS. So I'm just using that as my dimension. It actually doesn't have to be this precise at all because the vellum is going to be sandwiched in between the two panels. And so you don't have to be this precise at all. I just wanted it to be pretty and didn't want to have a whole lot of bulk. So we're going to cut this out. And then I'm going to sandwich everything in between here. I was so excited that I got this card made and got this design done. I literally was just jumping for joy on Friday when I got everything made and finished it up. And I tweaked it a little bit this morning to make sure that all the panels and everything lined up where they needed to go. And that kind of thing. But the SVG cut file will be in my resource library, and you don't have to have a Silhouette or Design Studio. If you have a Silhouette, of course, it'll import and work just fine, but also if you have a Cricut, you can use it as well. Is that what that thing is called? A Cricut? You can import into their Design Studio and use the Cricut software and cut it on your Cricut as well. I used liquid glue just to adhere, and I'm just putting a little fine line around everything and on the cross hatches of the windows. And then we're going to put that little piece of vellum on there and press it down really nice and firm and make sure it sticks. And then we're going to put that other panel on there on the inside and make sure that everything sticks together. Let's do the other side. Like I said, I did this in real time. Only took me about 15 minutes to get the card together. It took me a little bit longer to cut it out, only because I was doing about 15 other things while I was letting that cut. And of course you can move stuff around in the file so that you get the best use of your paper. The paper that I am using for this is Stampin' Up's Pacific Point. And when I go to actually make this card to give to somebody, I think what I'm going to do is ink blend some blueprint sketch over top of this Pacific Point and give it some depth on the inset panels that I'm adhering right now. I'm going to, so that I have some depth and some shadow behind everything. I think that's what I'm going to do. I don't know yet. And when I test fit everything, this is cute. When I test fit everything, I just took my tape runner out and ran tape runner on the solid piece panel that goes on the inside there, forgetting that I had holes cut in the flaps so that the tape runner was showing through. Oh, the joys of crafting. Sorry, my head gets in the way there for a second because I'm making sure that that's all lined up. And now we have windows in our TARDIS. That is so cool. That is just so stinking cool. And making sure everything's pressed down together. And the circle, the squares are cut out on the front so that you can, I got some schmutz on there, so I'm taking a little eraser and getting the schmutz off. I think it was probably adhesive on something. And be sure to use a white eraser. You can also use a sand eraser. But I typically only use that on really heavy cardstock, which Stampin' Up's only about 65-pound cardstock. So there's also the little light that's at the top of the TARDIS, and I just cut out a little sliver of this, and it's too big, and it's too big for the little place up there at the top, the little light. But what I did afterwards is I just trimmed it out and made sure that it was okay. You didn't see any of it. Ta-da! And a little bit of liquid adhesive around that edge. And I am making this video in May. It's actually May 21st. I'm making this video. And yes, I do have on a sweater. For some reason this morning, I could not get warm. And it's been blazing hot outside. Torrential rains for days on end, and all of a sudden then it decided to turn off hotter than you know what. I have a back piece here just in case that you wanted to make this a different color. You can. If you wanted to add some texture to it, you could. The TARDIS is wood after all, so you could add a stamp on the back of this in a wood texture and a wood green. And it just lines up on the back to give it some extra heft. And make sure that you have a nice sturdy card. Ta-da! Now we're going to put the panels on the front. Oh, I've got to trim off the excess vellum. I forgot about that. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and trim out the excess vellum off of that. And get that all cleaned up. And if I could figure out a way to do the Chibitronics in these, oh, that would be just 10 times more awesome. And have the inside of it light up. But I think I would have to make my doors a little thicker so that I could get the electronics in it. So that might be something I fool within the next couple of weeks and see if I can't figure that out. Little liquid adhesive, got to put the fronts on the windows so the windows stand out, and we have some. My fingers were really sticky, so I just used the end of my glue tube there to adhere those, make sure they were down. And just some little simple lines of glue and make sure that it's everywhere. Ta-da! And you know, you can't help but drop it as soon as it has glue on it. Go ahead and stick that down. And it lines up perfectly. Those don't matter which side they're on. They're the same cut file copied. And now we're going to put on the header file and the header on that. So this is like the background for where it says police call box, police public call box, and that goes at the top. And this goes on top of it. Technically that should be black. Sorry, my phone's going to go off for emails. Technically that could be black, or you could stamp it. You could leave it blank. It really doesn't matter. In person, the card really does have some dimension to it right there, and it's pretty good. And I had some extra adhesive schmutz there. So these are not square. They are slightly rectangular. So when you put them in, make sure that you have that even spacing all the way around there. You can cut multiples of these out and stack them up, or you can just put one in, however you want to do it. You know, add more dimension to it by putting two and putting them in there, or you can just keep it the singular and put it and place them back in there. There's the distress ink I was talking about, and putting that on that back panel so that you have more dimension and more color in there, to give it some depth behind those squares and make it look like it's a little bit more shadowy. I decided I didn't want to stack them up. And just place those in there. Make sure it's an even amount all the way around. And we have ourselves the coolest TARDIS card ever. You could add a white piece of cardstock on the inside where you can write your message. You could write your message on you could type it and run it through your printer and type out your message and then print it out and cut it out and fit it in that space. You could do a ton of color blending on this and get some real dimension and real shape on it. The Chibitronics you can add to it. You could put this on just a flat card front and have put a gift card in it. You could add a little brad as the door, as the handle on there to open it. You can do so many different things with this, and I put a ruler on it so you could see about how long it is. And of course it would help if I had the ruler the right way. And I hope you've really enjoyed this video, and go and grab that cut file for free over on my website, jillcameroncreations.com. And if you have any questions about anything, don't hesitate to drop me an email or send me a message on Facebook. Anything I can do, just let me know, and I will be happy to help and assist. I hope everyone has a most wonderful day, and take care, and see you later.